My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and I have a quick message here. I don't know if it's going to be quick. I have clients coming up, so it might be quick, it might not be. I'm going to be paying attention. I have a tentative one scheduled, and then I have some solid ones coming up for the afternoon. Listen, guys, this is in response to a letter I received from a subscriber who said I can use her name. Her name is Julia. Her subscriber name is different, but her actual name is Julia. And that's why it's not in quotation marks. So Julia is a real person. And for those of you that are new here, again, if I didn't say it, my name is Monette and I'm a professional intuitive empath. And what we do here is we dissect all manner of things from pop culture to our own personal lives. Y'all, a lot of personal life stuff. And we kind of come up with solutions together as a collective. That's why I love my lives specifically. A pre record's good too, and those used to be my bread and butter. But I forfeited the bread and the butter because God has a way of providing in other ways when you're doing real work and connecting with the community. And that's really my heart. Doesn't mean you won't see pre-records every once in a while, or maybe even more again. But for now, these lives are one I love when you jump in. And that's why I love the exchange and the reciprocity. So what I will tell you is this. Julia wrote me a letter and she was very upset. She was triggered. I made a video that said something like, Gunner's mama, sit down and get a white claw. Now, for anybody that listens to that, you can ascertain that Gunner's mama is the karmic that I dealt with. That karmic was a scorpionic woman, a young woman. I don't even really know how old she was because it was just all such a hot mess that the details were a blur to me. I got a lot of psychic information and blurred out and blocked out and was protected, quite actually, by my angels so that I wouldn't fragment and snap because of the betrayal. It wasn't the betrayal because that person was so diabolical, Machiavellian, or a James Bond villain. They were quite daft, inept, and low vibrational and incredibly basic. But the betrayal came from the Judas that perpetrated, who was someone that I did care about, did believe, and didn't understand was a covert narcissist. So I wrote, well, I didn't write it. I kind of freestyled it, but Julie wrote me a letter, but I did a video where I addressed Gunner's mama. I didn't say her name. Now, the reason I did that is because I was guided to. As with anything that I do on here, I am guided to do it. I don't know why I do it. I don't know where it comes from. I'm very obedient with my angels and I listen. And when they say jump, I say how high. And it's never failed me, meaning they have saved my life. They've pulled me out of spiritual trenches. They have put me into incredible blessings. And as of recently, they have literally put me into heads in front of the heads of states, literally, physically in front of the heads of states, that created conversations that sparked off other things, that sparked off other things, that sparked off other things. It's all a dream when you listen to your angels. And sometimes they're saving you from nightmares. So they said, make that video. They said it would be healing for someone. I didn't think it would be triggering for someone, maybe except for Donner's mama, because I figured she might watch it. Someone asked me also in another email, do you think your Judas watched it? No, I don't think my Judas watches me at all. I think I think that Judas is getting their ass properly beat by the universe on a regular basis. And someone else asked me, do you not think that Gunner's mama, meaning the karmic, so this is if you've ever had a third party step into your connection, whatever that connection may be. For me, it was a friendship. And so someone asked me, don't you think that Gunner's mama's getting karma too? Or the getting dealt with by your ancestors? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's weird because, and just let me help you explain, she played a part in my freedom, in my emancipation. She was actually racist. You guys have heard me talk about this. I'm never going to not say it because that was my story. So I get to say it as many times as I want to. And colorist and had issues and was jealous and all the isses, right? But she played, ironically, a part in my emancipation with all of the past ancestry that we shared or past life energy. Sometimes past life enemies resurface. If you have someone that steps into your life that hates you for no reason and you can understand it, even if it comes via a third party, even if it's a romantic third party or a platonic third party or a clicky workship third party, You might have past life karma with someone, and we're all very one dimensional sometimes if we don't realize that it's a little bit deeper than we give it credit for. And I will definitely have friends that would debate me and say, well, Mona, is everything that deep? Well, I get paid for everything to be that deep, and so far my feet and my intuition haven't failed me yet. So I'm not going to deviate from my thought processes there. But I want to kind of push the boundaries of your experiences with third party dynamics and think about the fact that why did that situation happen? Yes, it happened to stretch you and elevate you and push you to a new direction, but it probably happened to a certain degree, especially if you had someone that was really vitriolic and hated you for like literally no reason, especially if you were a sweet empath that tried to be nice, as we will do, right? And someone still hated you, that's past life karma. That had nothing at all to do with you at all. Okay, meaning it's something you guys had played out. The way this girl just decided my sights are set on you, I don't like you for no reason, and I had gone out of my way to be kind and friendly, was interesting, but that's okay. One of the things that will happen, and Julia, if you're listening, I'm going to get to the answer of your question, but one of the things that will happen is that people will take us as like very sweet. We live in that love and light and all of that stuff. And that's why on this channel, I specifically pop my collar, I talk my shit, I tell you to make people put respect on your name, and I demand that respect is put on my name. I let people maybe have one or two chances to kind of like step to the left or the right. None of us are perfect, but now I don't deal with things the same. I don't suffer fools lightly, and I don't let things get out of control. I will remove myself. I'll assess, do I need to be all in with a nuclear response, or does this just need to be duly noted? This person is basura and I'm gone. I don't care if it's friends, family, or whatever. That's how I operate my endeavors, and it's how I recommend you do the same. I don't say this to you. If my bestie was on here, she would say, Monette walks it like she talks it. I do, I do, I do. And I recommend that to you. I don't care if it's painful. I don't care if you share my DNA. I don't care if you've been my best friend for 50, 11 years and we were singing, I guess we'll die another day. I don't care if you're my mama. I don't care if you were my kid. I don't care. If I feel like you're an agent of chaos, if you're a Decepticon, if you're an op, meaning the opposition, then off with your head. It is. And I don't look back. I mean that, sis. My cutoff game is immaculate. And I recommend the same for you. Anyway, so Julia is reading this, well, I'm saying reading this, but listening to my video. She is triggered AF. And she told me so, so I can say that. She's triggered AF because of what I've said. What I did was I addressed directly the karmic. And she says, why are you wishing or willing for them to be together? And I wanted to come on here. I thought, well, if she had that question, maybe somebody else did, because while I had maybe one comment and a few likes on it, I don't even know if I had a few likes. I don't even know, but there was an engagement because I think everybody was just that did listen was like, what? Because it wasn't for them. They could tell specifically it was directed for somebody else. And I thought, well, in the future, if anybody ever sees it, I will kind of connect these two videos so that it can be fully understood. Like attracts like. I wish them well together in their coupleship, even if it was a disaster, even though I knew it was a farce, even though I knew the beginning and the end, even if I knew where it would be the good, bad, and indifferent and hard parts, even though I knew the misery that the karmic would bring. Is the karmic the ultimate evil, agent of evil? She was allowed to do what was needed to do. And here's where I want you to get the lesson, Julia. The karmic is there to elevate you, believe it or not. And that's why, because she said, why would you start out the video thanking her? Because I did. I thanked the karmic, and I have maintained my gratitude for that karmic for years. You can go back and hear me thanking that karmic in video after video after video when I was more in the thick of it and more in the spiritual battle. She wanted something, but I knew what she wanted. I knew that she was going to subjugate the Judas. I knew that it was a tricky situation. I knew that the Judas was not smart enough to see her way out of it. And I wanted them to be together. And she said, well, why wouldn't you want them to be with her? And if they, because you said something about like something had happened with them and they may have broken up or whatever. Okay, yes. Listen, guys, people that do that to you will do that to you again. So Julia, I imagine, and she explains this to me in her letter, was like, but I'm wishing for my counterpart, twin flame, soulmate, whatever her person is, to come back to her. She's like, I want the spell to break, quote unquote, the spell. And that's a love spell. And that's not just like bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. Sexual energy is a spell. Connecting your two fluids with somebody else is a ritualistic act. Everybody is like, gets so up in arms on the semantics of it with their like freaking puritanical brains. Guys, we are doing rituals every day, even in the church. This is my body. Drink of this. Do this in the remembrance of me. These are rituals. So all the stuff that everybody's like, it's witchy. It's witchcraft. Everybody does witchcraft every day. Okay. I'm not trying to normalize it. I'm trying to help you see that it's been happening your whole life. All right. If you were doodling your crush's name when you were in 8th grade, that's a form of witchcraft. That's called scripting. Okay. And it's not evil. It's just what we do as humans. We all do things. Okay. So here's what I want you to understand. They have done witchcraft if they slept together or the spells have been connected. In the Bible, it's called a soul tie. So I knew that it didn't matter if she disconnected from that person. I there's a rapper that says something recently. She says, and we're both from the Bronx, so I know that you're dirt. I know that you're dirty because there's a kind of colloquial understanding that people from the Bronx are dirty, meaning like shisty, not filthy, not unclean, but like shisty, like grimy, like they'll move a certain kind of way. It's just a thing. And she said it, and anybody in the Bronx set is like, whatever, they get it. But I think of the karmic partnership alignment as one where both partners are dirty and they know it. And I did not want that dirt on my name. I was like, JC, I was like, I'm feeling like a pimp. I'm going to brush my shoulders off. Ladies as pimps too, going to brush my shoulders off. Get that dirt off my shoulder. I didn't want to be with these dirty hoes. Now, Julia wants still to be with her masculine, who stepped outside of the confines of the relationship. Sorry, guys, I was drinking seltzer. My girl, there's been a lot of things happening. Just came back in. So Julia wanted to be with her masculine, was stepped outside the confines of the relationship. I titled this, They Will Do It Again Because They Would. She said to me, why wouldn't you want, if she's got the sads for her, it sounds like you think she might have woken up, and whatever, which I don't know, girl, if my Judas will ever wake up. And I don't care if she woke up. Honestly, I sent her right back to wherever she wants to be. And she said, don't you think that she wants to come back to you? Oh, of course. I know that she does. I am 1000% sure that she's in misery and she could hate me and love me, but she also misses and wants to reconnect with me. I am 1000% sure. I've received many messages. I understand telepathically, energetically, and every other that is a truth. But that's where I don't want you guys to get like caught up and like think you want to go back to this person, because in order for them to be with you, they have so much work to do because they are now unclean. They have been with someone dirty. It's not about the person actually being filthy. In this case, though, the person that she was with had sexually transmitted demons and other things, and I was like, no bueno, I want no parts. But this was just a friendship for me. So if she cleaned her heart, I could go back, but I would never trust her again. For nothing, not for all the shekels in the world, not for all the cotton candy in the land would I ever trust her. And that's why I sent her back to the demon that she is now pair bonded with. I had nothing for her. Julia's like, but why? Now, and I understand what happened. Please, anybody listening to this, get this. Julia felt triggered because she felt like I was willing her masculine with my words, even though I wasn't, and understand this is more conjecture, but I was willing her masculine to go back to the karmic if he had like a moment where he'd come up for air or woken up. But here's the thing. I study the anatomy of these relationships from the inside out because of the work that I do. It's not just my personal experience. It is hundreds of calls, thousands of people all throughout the years. And what I notice is that when someone gets quote unquote hooked on somebody and they're their ideal, for the person that betrayed me, she betrayed me because she felt what she was betraying me for was an emotional ideal, was an all-American ideal, was blonde and blue and perfect for her. And so she did not value my color. She didn't value my skin. She didn't value my wisdom. She didn't value my energy. She didn't value my affect. She valued what she perceived was valuable. That was her dream person. So that dream person sold her the same bill of goods she sold me. Hashtag karma. That's how it happens, actually. And she had her waiting and thinking, like, you're going to be my main person. But really, that person just wanted someone to make her feel better when her Scotty wasn't making her feel nice and when he wasn't acting right and whatever. And that would be her primary partner. The karmic I was dealing with had a whole marriage and girlfriends and boyfriends and everybody else. Okay. So, my point in saying this is this: did I want to get back into connection with my friend? Maybe before I knew where the rainbow was going to end, meaning before I left the connection. Because Julia asked me that. But didn't you want to ever like reconcile with her? I am sure that I did. I don't remember that. It's been a minute. But I'm sure that I did want to reconcile with her as it initially began. I'm sure that I did. I'm sure actually before I ended it, I wanted reconciliation. It was heartbreaking. How many of us have been in relationships where we're lonely, where we're sitting next to somebody who is literally checked out and unemotionally unavailable, and you keep trying to connect with them and they keep denying and gaslighting to you that something's wrong, but they're giving all of their attention and energy to somebody else? It's heartbreaking, guys. I am human. Just because I pop shit on here doesn't mean I'm not human. I totally get it, Julia. But I, like a lot of women, what we do is we cauterize and heal our wounds probably before we leave. I made sure that I was emotionally going to be okay before I left. Good morning, Miss Laura. Before I left. And a lot of us do that. We leave relationships long before we actually disembark from the relationship. I had the upper hand because I had dealt with narcissists, covert narcissist. Well, she was my first covert narc, but I had dealt with malignant narcissists before. So I know how the discard devaluation stage goes. And I know I was in the devaluation stage with her. And she was treating me atrociously. And I was coming into myself, and I was very much having my Topanga moment from Fried Green Tomatoes, or Tawanda. And I was very much having my, because Belinda's going to correct me when she listens, that it's Tawanda, isn't it? And Topanga's from Boy Meets World, right? Belinda, I'm getting better. And so I was very much having my I am woman, hear me roar, divine feminine. Anytime you have one of these experiences with a karmic third party that comes in, or a disruption in a connection that you have, it's about your ascension. And so I was ascending. I was growing spiritually. I was writing a book. There were so many amazing things that were happening, but it was really painful. But it was all predicated by the catalyst, which was the karmic. So when Julia hears me kind of doing this talking style letter to the karmic, and I'm like, go back to Judas. Judas is sad. She's like, well, why would you send them back? And she took it as a personal affront. And Julia, I'm not going to apologize for what I did, because I did what was right and cathartic for my soul. And believe it or not, Julia, I'm not going to apologize because I did what was right and cathartic for your soul too. The very fact that she wrote me the letter means that I was listening exactly to my angels, and I did what I was supposed to do. You needed that. You needed to be triggered into thinking about that person not ever being back. And I'm not trying to like bludgeon you and make things scary for you, but I want you to take a look at that and see. And I'm going to walk you through here in some conversation before my next reading why this is not just about me, but it's about you too. Okay? And it's about whoever else will listen to this in the future. The person that did that to me, and your person as well, idolized and chose someone over you. That's hard. Anybody, no one wants to be like, they chose up over me. That other person was more magical. That other person was more this and whatever. Listen, I can guarantee you this, Julia. They were not more anything. They were more addicted. They were more drug addled. I was working with a client recently, and their husband or their ex has devolved into depravity regarding addiction. And he tells her all the time, you're my wife, you're the person, you're the love of my life. But he goes and he sleeps with these other people. And she's left him. I walked her through leaving him a couple years ago, but she's still emotionally attached. Just yesterday, we were doing a reading, and she says to me, gosh, I just love him so much, BFF. She calls me her BFF because, we're close. I just love it, even though she's not she's not my official BFF, but she was like, I talk to you so much. You're like my BFF. It's kind of a funny little inside joke with us, but she said, I just love him so much, BFF. I can't release him because when we were together for those 7 years, XYZ, it was her real twin flame, just like Julia has a real twin flame, just like I had a real twin flame. Now, what do we know about twin flames, ladies and gentlemen? Let's say it together. They're toxic AF, right? Disembark, because that's when the real work gets done. But we all have lived in the limerence, especially a lot of us with our childhood PTSD and the fantasy that maybe they'll come back and they'll like get it right. Now, I have none of that. Fortunately, wherever my chart's situated, I'm very clear about who that person was and wasn't. And that person had done that to me for years. Does that make sense? And Julia, you'll have to take a look at your situation and ask what is the truth for you. But I knew with my Judas that for years she'd always chosen other situations over me, always put other information above me, always chosen the most low vibrational white trash. And no offense to anybody Caucasian, but y'all, there's black trash, there's white trash, there's all trash. Okay, we all could be a little bit trashy. And here's the thing: be careful what you speak out. A lot of us like bad boys and bad girls. Well, one of my favorite old country songs when I was younger, don't know why, was is it Merle Haggard? I don't know. I like my women just a little on the trashy side. Well, be careful what you ask for. I got straight basura, garbage juice, okay? As a friend. I love that she was wild and whatever, but that fit who I was at a certain point in my life. In any case, my God, the trash did not age well. It turned into hot, steaming, putrid garbage juice in an apocalypse, in a zombie apocalypse. It did not turn out to what I want to be. So now my manifestations are different, let's just say. But I subconsciously attracted exactly what I asked for, a lot of trash. So I want you to ask yourself, Julia, what was your ethos and type for a guy that you liked? Because the reason I say that is there is a persona and there is an emotional connection that they will have to the way that they treat you. So what is a trashy person going to do? Since I had asked for that from the universe with my hilarious song choice, they're going to not value a healthy connection. They're going to go towards what feels like the burning bed. If you guys are familiar, The Burning Bed is a movie with Farrah Fawcett where she literally burns down the house because she was being so brutally abused. In any case, they grew up with people being abusive, so that's their default and their comfort. Please go to any of these like therapy channels. There are fantastic resources about our childhood abuse and how it plays out into our choices and selections regarding our relationships. We all do it. You think you don't? We all do. I know it as a former teacher. I know it as a person who has studied child psychology. I know it as a person who has studied psychology. I know it as a armchair anthropologist who has observed relationships. I know it from reading your letters. I know it from working with my clients. I know it from my own personal experiences, what I replicated, even in the positive way. I ended up marrying a parent, okay? And I ended up dating, loving, and being attracted to another parent. So I have both of my parental dynamics in my love and relationship life. It's just funny how it played out. It's not the way that I would have thought. The person that was my Judas was reflective of my dad, reflective of my father, okay? Abusive, lascivious, a low-down liar. Daddy was a Rolling Stone, all that jazz. So I had to work out that childhood trauma, and I did. So Julia, karmic is you were working out that childhood trauma with this person too. The reason that my video message to the karmic years later, that was years of vitriol that I had purged out of my system. If you listen to it, I'm no longer baited into anger and couldn't be. She could like dangle Judas in front of me and be like, nanny boo boo, I'm with Judas. I took her from you. And I'd be like, yes, you did. And I'm happy to see it. I mean that from like the most Zen Buddha place. I don't give a fuck about that girl because I understand, and I'm not talking about the karmic. I understand that that was always going to be Judas's way. And I'm meandering here, but this is the title of the video. She was always going to do that to me. And she always did. I want you, Julia, before you fire any more shots at me, to take a look at the history of your karmic. And I say your karmic, and I'm not talking about the karmic who interfered. I consider the relationship with your primary person who betrayed you the karmic. But we'll call it twin flame since that's the journey that you're on still. And I'm not being facetious. I was there too. I can't believe I valued that person so much. And one day I prayed the same for you, that you see it, not just from the way I see it, but you see it clearly for the way it feels right and resonates for you. I never want to project myself onto you. Anybody that tells you they have have all the answers is lying. It reminds me of Kanye. You don't got the answers, Sway. Sometimes people do have the answers, and sometimes they don't. But I will never be a person that says I always do, because I will never. I do not, and I won't. The truth is, I'm learning just like you, trial and error, but I am studying from a larger aggregate of information regarding the amount of people I get to have access to and their stories. So please don't just take it from me, take it from thousands of women and men that have had a somebody like you're somebody, Julia. I promise you, take it from them, okay? So here's the deal. That person did that to me all the time. If it was someone trashy and low vibe, she was like, "Oh, I love it so much. I can't wait. It's going to be so delicious." She would set our relationship aside. She put me on the back burner. She would put aside my good advice and my good energy. She would be like, "I don't care about taking care of my kids. I'm going to string them to every hotel and do whatever because I just got to get fucked and I just got to suck and I got whatever." Like, she just put aside all of her good old common sense, and she had some sometimes, for nothing, for nothing. And in the last iteration, the reason that I was like asking on her behalf for her and the karmic to reconcile is because they both have their own karma coming. My ancestors are riding as they do. I can't stop it even if I wanted to. Sometimes I have wanted to stop it. I have felt bad because I know who my ancestors are. They were not love and light, okay? They were like Genghis Khan, okay? My dad was like Genghis Khan in real life, okay? All the kids, all the crazy, all of the I will chop you to your face with a machete. So I was like, wow, you done messed up. And the thing about it is too, is I don't want their karma next to me. I don't want their poverty next to me. Now, Julia, think about what it is that's the deficit for your dude. What did he cause you to lose when he was proximal to you? And I know you know that because you wrote me a letter, and I can tell that you have sadness there, and I'm not upset at all. I just want to hold you in the space here, baby, because I can tell that he caused you to lose sleep, sanity, probably weight, probably hair, probably your menstrual cycle. Like, girl, can we talk? Can we talk about all of the side effects of being an empath, cleaning like a dialysis machine, this dirty dick energy of people that want to take it to everybody else and think they can come back to you? Now, in my case, platonic friend, but the same thing she did try to do. She wanted to get abused and talked down to and treated badly, and I could feel that. I could hear it. I knew who Gunner's mama was and who she wasn't and who she wasn't going to be, and I said, well, but baby, you chose her, so now you got to stick beside her. Actually, you know that meme? I'm gonna stick beside, yeah, he's mine. I'm gonna stick beside him. And that's what I was saying in that. It wasn't that I was saying, I hope your twin flame never comes back to you. If your twin flame doesn't work and evolves, then yes, of course, I want for him to come back and let you know. And I will tell you, I have been in a season of observing a lot of people that have tried. A lot of my clients come back and be like, I love this person so much. Or my clients telling me, oh my God, my ex-husband who dragged me through hell apologized full-throated, said it's been like so terrible out in these streets. No one is like me. He can't replicate me. I hope for everybody here who's ever been betrayed that you get that conversation. I've read letters from SDF and from other people that have had people literally come back and be like, I'm sorry, the narcissist in their life, even if it wasn't sexual. For SDF, it was her mother who was like a malignant, horrible narc, who apologized to her and was like, you know what? But it was years later. That's the thing, Julia, too. Message, none of this happens immediately when you want it to, and it never happens when you're ready for it to. If the person that could have come back, if the Judas would have come back into my life and apologized to me when this was fresh, who's to say I wouldn't have done another round? Let's go country again, pop a top again. I think I'll have another round. Set him up, my friend. I would have got set up again because I was emotionally malleable. I was easily manipulated because my love tank for her was still full, because I hadn't admitted that she was an illusionist, and that the relationship that I thought we had, the friendship that I thought we had, the friendship that I held up one-sided like scaffolding, like my father used to erect when he built buildings, was only me. It was never she. It was never about we. She knew how to do a we when it was about Gunner's mama, because that's who she loved. Actually, back to the title, they will do it again. If I were to have taken her back and been like, okay, let's be friends, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me. If I would have done that, been on that 1980s Care Bear, share a heart, rainbow shit, what would have happened is she would have been like, this dumb bitch, because that's how narcissists view us. They feel like you are stupid and you deserve whatever you get when you let them back in. You're like, well, but my twin flame isn't a narcissist, Julia. This is what you may be thinking. Maybe he's not. Your twin flame exhibits toxic behavior, though, because he treated you like you were the thought when you were the empress, the divine feminine, and the queen. And he treated the thought like she was the queen. When she was a has-been, she was dried up, she was used, basura, garbage juice. Yeah? And I say that because if we don't know our worth, it is what it is. We are who we are. This is not about you saying that you are better or less than anybody. We all have been subpar. We all have been par excellence, right? But that's all about how we want to be. So if I would have taken back my bestie who tried the F out of me with an actual nobody, and what I mean by nobody, somebody who wasn't ambitious, somebody who wasn't about business, somebody who wasn't about growth, somebody who wasn't a self-starter, someone who didn't come from the bottom and now they're here, someone that didn't get it out of the mud, someone that was not 10 toes down, someone that wasn't loyal, someone that wasn't a liar, or well, she was a liar, I was not. You understand? I knew what my character was, but I was like, how come I have to keep reading my resume to this dummy, my twin flame? You know, twin flames don't always have to be romantic, but for you it is. How come I have to keep reading my resume to this dum-dum who doesn't understand that I am highly revered, sought after, and cared about, and not just because I say so. In my case, and I don't know what your situation is, Julia, but there are Carfax, if you will, meaning I freelance for several reputable sites in the country. I was selected as one of the best. I'm 5-star rated on a regular basis, and I have clientele that I work with every day that value our exchanges, and it's not because I'm an asshole. It's because I give them valuable information, feedback, and insight. It's because I try to live integrally and do it right. It's because I try to teach them confidence as I'm going through my own hardship. It's because I get on my knees and I cry it out, sis, when I need to. But I'm here and I stand in the trenches with you. I'm back to back with you. So I thought, why do I have to keep reading my resume to dummy over there? Judas, dummy, same, the equal sign between Judas and dummy. Why do I have to keep reading my resume to dum-dum? When the whole world, in my case, quite literally, I work with clients internationally, understands who I am and who I be. When I have a good old solid bestie that would been around the world and I for me, God bless her soul, and I would do the same for her. Absolutely. Tonight we ride at dawn and we have ridden at dawn. I love that girl. So I know what I offer in value. I know how I raise a vibration. Julia, do you know about that? You don't have to be me talking to people across the nations. I was just out of the country. I was at a workshop. I was talking to people that, like I said, were in parliament and all the rest of it. God will put you in places when you know your worth. But when you're next to a twin flame that seeks to devalue you and loves to triangulate you with a piece of shit, can we talk about what it is? Or they want to triangulate you with their own weird ideologies and their own crazy things. And they hate your light. Because everyone on this chat, even though I haven't looked down yet, besides Miss Laura, meaning I saw Miss Laura, I see other people popping in, but I haven't looked down. Everyone else on this chat is talented AF. You guys have something to offer. You are world changers. You are artists. You are creators. I don't even know who's here, but I know I'm safe in saying that. Anybody who watches this back is one of those people. And Julia, you are too. But I know your twin flame to value, or you wouldn't be writing me the letter. And I'm not saying that to be mean. What I'm saying is so that you get better. Let me help you, sweetie. He put you in a position where he valued someone else over you when you have been nurturing him and loving him and pouring into him and praying over him and depleting your sleep for him and going to the clinic over him and all the rest of it. Julia, can we talk? Can we talk? Did he give you the love? Did he give you the best of it? No, he didn't. So even if you're in a bit of denial, which we all will be, when we still love somebody, when we still feel like they are somebody, we all will be in a bit of denial. Pardon me. Let me get a sip of water here. Because I'm talking that talk today. We all will be in a bit of denial. Yeah, I was, but I was in it when I was in it. When I got out of it, I was like, I'm never going back, because I knew that if the person that the Judas idealized, which was Gunner's mama in that video that triggered you, Julia, would have come back to her, she was always going to go back. Gunner's mama had a solid life. She had a girlfriend. She had a husband. She had an emotional wife. She had a side piece. She had another one. She had whatever she wanted to have. And she wanted someone like Black Snake Moan that make her feel good too. Well, she got that. And it was never going to be a connection anymore with the Judas that I knew that could be solid. Towards the end of it, I had a really amazing opportunity happen. It's because I had started to detach, which is also evidence that we detach while we're still in the relationship. I had detached before I broke up with my Judas, before I discarded her, before I told her hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. Not even in the next lifetime. I blocked her from infinity and beyond. I was Buzz Lightyear on that bitch. Fuck her, right? So I was so sick of it because I had been going through that cycle with her and having bad karma and being impoverished. That was her karma. That was her choices, her preferences karma. It wasn't mine. I have created beautiful dharma which shows up in my life every single day that Jesus sends. Every day I have lovely communications, lovely interactions with humans because I have created good dharma. That's the karma we create while we're here. So when I told Judas to kick rocks, I was having beautiful career success, astronomical. Some of the best things in my life started to happen for me when I was disembarking from that relationship as we were in it. Does that make sense? So, Julia, listen up here. And this is evidence that you're actually pulling your heart apart from that person because things started to roll in for me that were amazing. And one of the last things that I said to her when I was still a little mushy and still cared because I was in denial, like we all are. I was like, I didn't, she was like, well, why didn't you tell me that this was happening or whatever? Like some magical thing happened career wise. And I was like, I couldn't tell you because nothing was about us anymore. Everything was about you and Gunner's mama. You were so adamant on sharing all of my business. She started gossiping about me and breaching friendship. There's a Geneva contract of besties, right? It's unwritten, but it's a thing. We don't talk about our bestie stuff with anybody else. You and your bestie work out the problems of the world, you solve them, and you keep it pushing. And just you two know what's going on, and you have an intimate relationship, and that's what makes it special. I have multiple relationships with people and multiple friendships, but each one has its own level of intimacy where it's just like, oh, this is whatever, but there is a special thing that happens with you and your bestie. So I didn't feel safe because I knew my bestie was a Judas, because as the high priestess, as a divine feminine, as a divine sentient intuitive being, I was getting actual snapshots of their conversation. I was hearing things. I was having incredible telepathy. I was having dreams and downloads that I didn't want. Julia, does it sound familiar? You hear even I'm getting a throat chakra hit, but I didn't speak on it. The high priestess doesn't speak. She observes. If you look at the high priestess in any tarot card, it is a black face, and I don't mean black as in my color. It is like onyx black. It looks like a black crystal ball in my favorite deck, and there is no facial feature to be discerned. It's just an observation. What is black representative of? When we're doing protective work and protection work, black absorbs negative energy. So I was absorbing and watching all the bullshit and fuckery that was afoot, and I was like, I can't trust you. You dirty foot. I can't trust you. You ratchet. I can't trust you. You unclean specimen. It's not because I'm so magical. It's because I had cleaned myself. And one time I imagine me and my Judas were on a similar vibration or we couldn't have been friends. I was trying to elevate her vibration, but a pastor once told me something very wise. Think about this with your twin flame, guys. It is easier to pull someone down off a chair than to pull them up on you. He did the demonstration and he was like, this is what sin is like. And I never will forget that. He stood up on the chair and he was like, I'm going to pull you up here with me. And so he did try to pull whoever the guy was that was doing the demo with him up there. And it took a while, but he got him up there, but they were trying to balance and it was a struggle. But when the guy reached for him, he was easy to yank down the pastor that was teaching the lesson and the demonstration. That is what it is. You're fighting. You are the divine feminine up on the chair. You're perched, pedestalized, and up there in rare air. And you're like, come up here, be a good human. We have a life's mission. We have a ministry. You're trying to tell that, Julia, to your twin flame. And then with one yank, with them being connected, now it's not just them now, it's another person behind them, and they're both pulling you. Think about if you guys watch Squid Games, you know that tug of war situation? They're both pulling you, and who's going to come down and crash if you do not disconnect? And I was looking down at those two wretches. Amazing grace. I once was lost, but now I'm found, and I save face. And I was like, I will kick both of them in the faces, spiritually speaking, of course, non-violent here. But I was like, get the F off of me, you and your wretch. You wanted her, you got her. Keep her forever, but keep her away from me. So, Julia, when you hear me saying, honey, please go back. After the love is gone, what used to be right is wrong. Make sweet love and demonic connections again. They are bound and bonded to each other. And that's something that a lot of people need to understand about that third party dynamic. When you're like willing and wishing for them to come back, they have created created a new soul tie. And they are no longer your divine anything. They've corrupted themselves into the annals of karmic tree and karmic hood forever. And nothing good, no good will ever come from them. And maybe there is a small percentage of twin flame moments that reconcile and they get to live on this earth together and whatever. But what I've seen, and what the general consensus of a lot of the practitioners, readers, and people in the metaphysical community that I do work with talk about, is that it's always a shit show. You call in your soulmate or someone else that you would rather know, and you forget about that somebody that you used to know. Easier said than done when you're in the beginning. And that's why I want to offer and extend compassion to you, Julia. But I don't spend this much time talking about a thing unless I feel it in my soul. This is off script. This was just literally, I'm waiting for my next client. And my angel said, Julia needs to hear this because I know that made you feel away. And I didn't want you to feel triggered. But if it triggers ascension, then I would do it again every day. Because what it is you need to understand that person would do it again. Let's give me the example again here. If I were to say, hey, Judith, let's make up. I've gotten all your telepathic messages. I know you feel sorry now because so-and-so kicked you in the face too and tried you and was like, I'm never going to leave my husband in solid life for you, dum-dum. I could have told her that, and I think I did. I did tell her that. How many of us made predictions about the way a situation was going to end if someone didn't heed our advice, or if they didn't change their life, or if they didn't start treating us better, if they didn't start being a better partner? And they were like, ha 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 ha. And the next part of that, for any Biggie fans, it goes, check out is bizarre. He's talking about leaving this earth. He's talking about death, ironically, which he spoke over his life. There's so much power in words. And when that Judah said to me, this person is my princess and I'll do anything for her, and I never felt, and I never knew love like this before, I was like, what, bit? I felt away. Of course, I'm human. But what I realized is that, man, the way that I have loved you, you're never going to reciprocate to me. And the second this Gunner's mama decides that she's bored again with Scotty or Desiree or Tinky or Pookie or Riri or Mindy or Mally or Misty or whatever she's dealing with. Her OnlyFans ain't popping anymore, this or that. She's tired of being a whore for that day, and she wants to be your whore for the day. I was like, I can't. You're my friend, Sweet Pea. I am not going to be involved in this shit show and this effery. And so I disconnected. I kicked both of them again in the face off of that chair, and I was like, get off of me. You demons, stay down there. Stay over there. So when I was making that plea, it's because I still am a compassionate empath and everybody deserves love. I have all the juicy love I could ever want. I have lovely connections. I have lovely clients. I have lovely friends. I have parents that are still alive. Well, a parent that is still alive that calls me every day Jesus sends. I know what love is. And that's what you will know too when you disconnect from the karmic people, family members, bosses, co-workers, fake frenemies, besties around you. You will find that the world is an abundant place full of juicy love and amazing soul connections, magic all day, synchronicities and excellence, par excellence, okay? You will not just be shopping at Walmart, no offense to Walmart. Your life will be essentially, metaphorically, a trip through the aisles of Target. Yes. So before I wasn't even at Walmart, I was at the can store. I was at the Dollar General with these stupid clout chasing, I don't know what clout they were chasing. Hilarious to me. So I'm saying, Julia, why do you need to keep reading your resume to your twin flame and being like, I hope one day he'll be able to read this fully and pick me again and again? If your resume also was hidden to a degree. I was in a place in my life where I was hiding things actually from the Judas who betrayed me, because I knew things were about to pop in an amazing way. And I was watching her, because sometimes God will let us play that way. I was like, let me see what you're really about. See, I hear a lot of celebrities do this. And while I am nobody's celebrity, it's a thing for a reason. I heard Nikki talk about this recently. She told people that she was going to stop giving them money after 10 years of taking care of them. And then there was two friends that just broke her heart because they showed their ass and they were whatever. Fat Joe talked about this too. He's like, I'm broke now. My account says I'm broke. I can't give any more money to you. And then a bunch of friends fell off and some other friends never left his side. Snoop Dogg talks about he has 11 friends that have been his friends since childhood. They don't come to his house asking for anything. They don't want anything from him. They're just his friend, and they chop it up with him and they smoke a blunt with him the same way they did when they were 22. They do today that he's in his 40s, 50s, whatever he is. Excuse me, you will want day one A1s. And this person, my Judas, I thought was a day one A1. She was not. She was only so happy to sell my secrets to poverty, to for poverty. She sold it for nothing. And my angel said, if you ever had paparazzi around you, what do you think she would do? She'd be the one in the tabloids trying to get money and make money off you, because whatever you did for her would never be enough. And she would always choose what she thought was the level up. I was like, if homie is illiterate spiritually, and that's what it was, meaning, why do I need to keep reading my resume to somebody? My resume speaks for itself. I have been the best friend she'll ever have in her life, bar none, hands down. It's not that I'm like, she can't have other friendships. Of course she can. And I want that for her. And that's what you heard me do in that video, Julia. It is only fair to want whoever even betrayed you to have love in their life. You may not be at that point right now, because we will all come to our bitter parts, right? Where we're like, I freaking hate it. It's not fair. Why did they choose them? And our ego will be bruised. But I knew why she chose her. She was always going to choose her. She was waiting all her life to choose that person. She chose her in different forms when we were in our 20s. She had chose her before we even met, when she was in her teens. She always had a trashy, disgusting, bossy, ignorant person around her, and it was her favorite thing. I was an elevated, nuanced thing. She always said so. You're so smart. It's so weird. You like, and she would try to diffuse the intellect that we shared, even when we dated for a hot second. And if I'd be talking about something that was attractive to her, maybe she had a bit of sapiosexual in her, but it would be like, you're talking so much, why don't we go fuck? Like that, okay? The point is that she would have to kind of wrangle control over the thing that she couldn't, that made her feel inadequate, which is fine, girl. It worked out fine then. But what I'm telling you is this: somehow you had your twin flame feeling some level of inadequacy. And instead of trying to rise up with you and elevate with you, he started to compete. And I hate that. And this friend started to compete with me. So when I'm like, go be with that person and stay with her forever and be bonded in your demon tree, I mean that. It's not because I am not wanting for you to have reconciliation with your twin flame. It's because I know what's right for me. I know what I deserve. And I remember how much grace I gave Dum Dum in all those years, that imbecile, of me being the best friend she'll never have again in her life. Bar none, hands down. That's not a curse. I don't wish it on her. It's just what it is. We earth angels are not easily found. And sometimes people are entertaining angels, and you have too. And you have to be careful of how you treat the people around you. You never know. God was testing them. They had an opportunity to get on the good foot for your ascension. They had an opportunity to act right, treat you right, and to adjust their bad behavior before the dark night came. You don't know that a pop quiz is coming when you walk into a professor's classroom and they're like, pop quiz, but you better sit down and be ready to take it. And sometimes our connection with somebody is their pop quiz on their spirituality and their humanity, and they don't get a do-over. There is no extra credit. I had sewn into that person for years. She knew exactly what to do. She knew how to hear. I taught her multiple layers of energy, and instead of taking it and using it in a real spiritual warfare, she used it to compete against me, to steal my identity, and to betray me. That's what Judas will always do. So no, Julia, if you take him back, would he do the same thing to you? I don't know for sure with your person. I'd have to really look. But from what I've seen from the case studies, I have studied, and I have actually written a book. Yes, Julia, he would. If that person that he pedestalized would come back in his life when she's bored again and say, I want another spin. And I promise you, if she knew that he was coming back to you, all of a sudden her interest would be piqued again. The reason that I made that video for Gunna's mama is because long after my Judas checked out into all the drugs, the battle, and her self-loathing and pity Eeyore shenanigans that she does, I knew that Gunner's mama would be watching. Even if she had said, get off of me, you're disgusting, I hate you, and get fucked. Like, I know that she treated the person that was the Judas in my life terribly, which was her karmic retribution and spin on the wheel. And I knew that it happened because karma is not about what we wish on other people. It's about them experiencing exactly the pain that they put us through. And it can only happen when they have the same level of investment as they did when it came to you, except they were never as invested into you as you were into them. So God has to step in, or the demons, to send them somebody that they care about or they covet or they want maybe as much as we cared about, coveted, or wanted, or worked for them. So now that Gunner's mama was someone that my Judas worked for, she cared for, she coveted, she invested time and energy. She understood all the tenets of relationship that I taught her, but she did not think I was worthy of that. That's okay. God pays me back tenfold every day for that. Meaning, and you know what's so funny, Julia? In time, it won't be about I'm getting paid back because this Judas was unkind. Now I just see it as blessings. At first, I really did count it as that. I was like, oh, I guess this is because she treated me badly. Like, you made this nice thing happen today. Like, we all like go about it that way. But now I'm like, F her. That's great. She was never to be trusted. And I'm glad I found out now. Whenever people act up in my life now, I take it as like amazing. Because you know what I think of? Some of my favorite celebrities, because I went to culinary school and I'm a trained chef. And even though that's not the main bread and butter of my life now, I spent a lot of time immersed reading about Julia Child and Anthony Bourdain, Gordon Ramsay as well. But Julia Child and Anthony Bourdain specifically, who became Anthony Bourdain, we all know his fate, but he was a prolific, beautiful Cancerian man and writer. He was a poet and a thinker. He was a rock star. He was a swashbuckling energy. But Julia and Anthony did not come into fame until their 40s. Okay, they had what we would call an Indian summer. Okay, and I'm going to make a video about Indian summers. It's one I have a theory about first half and second half, which is that sometimes the first half of her life can be really shitty, and then the second half is brilliant, and it's called an Indian summer, where you like live again, and everything's magical, and you light up, and you do all the things you ever wanted to do, and you think this would have never happened to me, but it does happen for you. So Julia, stay tuned. I don't know what age you are, but you may have an Indian summer. I'm certainly having one, and that's why I can't wait to teach about it. But Julia and Anthony did not come into fame until they were in their 40s. They worked and ground, and they did laborious long-term investments. Julia Child wrote a Bible of cooking, okay? And she invested so much time, and it was so prolific. And people were like, no one's ever going to read this. And it was like, literally, it's a bestseller. Sold almost as much as the Bible, literally, actually, okay? But it didn't happen till later in life. So when people in my life show themselves who they are right now, I'm like, awesome sauce, Jesus, thank you. Because I'm like, take a bow. I'm all of my Madonna-ish. Take a bow, the night is over. This masquerade was getting colder. All right, lights are low, the curtain's down. There's no one home. Even though, Julia, you may feel like, I've always been in love with you, they've always known it's true. They took your love for granted. Why, oh, why? The show is over. Say goodnight. Peace. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, adieu, adieu to you and you and you, goodbye, do, goodbye. That's from The Sound of Music. But what I'm telling you is this, a little transition from Madonna to Sound of Music. We're doing the remixes today. That's how I feel now. Before, I was all on my Madonna emo. Oh my God. Now I'm like, awesome. I love when people show me their face and they show it quickly. I love when someone tries to get over with me. I let someone slide one or two times, but I'm going to chop them right away with it, because I don't need you around. I don't have to make you feel bad. I don't need you to see it from my point of view. If I have stuff going on with family members, as the Lord seems like we always do, I deal with it immediately, but I don't deal with it with big lectures and speeches anymore. I'm just like duly noted, because I know that God's opening new doors for me, and they're probably not supposed to come with me, whoever those people are, whether it's family, and it's certainly your Judas. He was not supposed to go that far with you. My Judas wasn't either. It was a test. My Judas wanted to ride my coattails. My Judas was lazy. Intrinsically, my Judas wanted quote unquote fame. I don't do this for the applause, Lady Gaga. I do it because I love to see us develop strength, internal energy. I love to see us grow. I love when I find a divine feminine that knows what she knows about who she is, and knows what her resume is, and knows what she deserves. That's so much of a payoff for me. But the person that was attached to me did it to be seen, actually, and wanted to be famous and wanted to be liked, and had no personality and couldn't get anything else in her life right, so she thought she was siphoning it from me. So when God closed the door on her, I was like, bye, Felicia. But that doesn't mean that I didn't love her. See, I am not an evil narcissist like that person was, and neither are you, Julia. And even though you still love this man and it's romantic, so this may be harder for you, the romance for us never existed, and any crossover energy was many, many years ago. So it was much easier of a thing for me to do. So I am going to say that because I don't want you to think that I'm some superhuman. If I was sleeping with somebody every day, I imagine it would be much harder, right? Sexual energy definitely heightens the stakes and it makes it harder to disengage. But we had sexual chemistry. We absolutely did have that. But what I will tell you is this. I took it as a grace that was given to me from my angels when they said, you do not have to do this with this person. This person's not supposed to come with you. It's a thing that Oprah has talked about, which is rare air. It's a thing that's talked about biblically. I've taught about it here. As you ascend, everyone can come with you. My favorite part is in the Bible when they had Abraham ascending the mountain. God said to him, leave the donkeys and the asses behind, because at a certain altitude they couldn't climb. There will be people that cannot climb with you. I'm channeling Miley Cyrus right now. It's the climb. You can almost see it. That mountain you're trying to get to. You can almost see it, but it's the climb. Do you want to be Usher moving mountains with somebody that's having you in repetitive cycles of unrequited love where they're just making you feel like shit every day and not valuing you? I receive compliments every day that Jesus sends, and it's not a brag even or a humble brag. I'm just telling you a matter of a fact. It is what it is. And the reason I say that is because the relationship that I was in, the friendship that I was in, that person was so stingy with her compliments. It's because she was jealous. Some of your divine masculines are jealous of you. And that person was a masculine energy. She was a woman, and she looked like a woman, and she flat ironed her hair, and she put on makeup. But man, that was a dude if ever there was. She was grimy in that way. But what I'm telling you is this. She withheld all of those kind things from me, and the angels and my ancestors have repaid me greatly every single day from random strangers, okay? Every single day. And the same will happen for you. But why do you want to be in a relationship where you can't get fed? I give out a lot of energy every day. And so the bestie in my life is someone that I have a reciprocal connection with. I tell my bestie she's beautiful. Y'all can find videos here just recently when I was in Barbados and bestie popped into the room and I was getting ready to do her makeup and she was like in a gown. But my bestie's beautiful every day. She's a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, okay? My bestie is gorgeous every day Jesus sends. But I have no problem being like, damn, you look great. Wow, you're amazing. I'm so proud of you. And it's not just about aesthetics. I am congratulatory about all of the things that she does do. I love her in every way and support her. She's a good human. I love her exchanges. She's a great tipper. There are so many things, little nuances, and I have never hesitated to say that to her. But the connection I was in, the Judas I was with, like delighted in withholding compliments from me. I remember one time my family put together a calendar for Christmas, my in-laws, and I was in the calendar and she was at my house and she saw it and she was like, oh, I didn't realize that you were attractive or beautiful. Like I've never seen that. Like I've known this girl for 20 years. Now I'm not saying I look good all those 20 years. I did not. I definitely did not. I didn't always wear makeup XYZ, y'all. So I am not some conceited crazy person. But I'm telling you, the way she said it, that's a hater in your midst. You got to pay attention to when you have haters. And some of y'all are linked up with people that you say you love, that love you, that are haters to the highest degree. I don't care if it's your family. I don't care if it's your spouse, your husband, your wife. I don't care if it's your mama. If someone can't congratulate you, cut them off. Y'all have heard me talk about my mom having issues regarding money. She's a West Indian woman with a 9-to-5 work ethic. I love her work ethic. I emulate it, but in my way. I was like, I'm not working a 9-to-5. Not on my watch. Not every day. That's not my life. And she didn't understand that. She has all these issues about me becoming more affluent or having wealth or anything, because that's her stuff. So I just cut off communication with her about it. And if she says anything that's treacherous and or underhanded or bitey, I call her on it right away. You see that energy, Mom? You see that energy? And that's because you hold people accountable. She's not a karmic that hates me. She's a person who has issues regarding money. Why have I been able to ascend to places that she hasn't financially? Because of her thought process. And also, I limited her access to me proximately regarding finances and understanding my business deeply. That's your mom, Monette. Yeah, I protected my energy and I was not wrong. People will have you second guess what you should do for you and make you think like you're crazy and you're not. And with that Judas that's in your life, that's your bestie, your twin flame, your whatever, they want to devalue you to your face because they could not do what you do. The life that I am living was unfathomable and made fun of by my Judas specifically. Now all of a sudden she and her karmic Gunner's mama want to live it too. Oh, now I'm the truth. I was always the truth. You were always the truth, divine feminine. A prophet is never respected in their hometown. One of my favorite videos I ever channeled, it's here, up here. Go find it and listen to it. A prophet is never respected in their hometown. That is biblical, foundational truths. Jesus was not respected with his homies. I'm thinking of Clueless. Jesus is my homie. Jesus wasn't respected with his homies. Sometimes you will have words, rhema words of wisdom for all the people around you, but they only can see you as the person they saw you at. Maybe when you were down bad, maybe when you were impoverished, maybe when you were promiscuous, maybe when you didn't have enough, maybe when you ate too much, maybe when you ate too little, maybe when you didn't have a car, maybe when your baby's daddy was going upside your head, or your baby's mama, or whatever. People will remember you there and not realize that you are a sentient divine being who has been downloaded and guided with incredible sparkly energy that is breaking bonds and karmic chains, and that will guide other people and come into your own form of fame, whatever that is for you. They don't see you as an artist and a creator and an innovator. They don't see you as a musician and a mother and a father. They don't see you as someone that is growing and climbing the ladder. Get on my level. You better get on my level. You will need a space shuttle or a ladder that's forever, that's real. That's from our poet laureate, Wheezy F. Baby. They can't get on your level. Leave the asses and the donkeys behind. I started it one way, Julia, and as I'm having to wind down here before I go into my client, I'm seeing it's going into another motivational place that I didn't even expect it to be. I did not make that to trigger you, sweetie. I made it for you to see, for someone like you to see that whoever didn't choose you wasn't supposed to. And if they did come back to you, the second that you are now making them sparkly again with your divine feminine energy, you might make them enticing to that karmic again. How many cycles do you want to go through with many men or many women? Always trying to fight them off to win the affections of your paramour. You are not in the tower. You don't need to be rescued anymore. Rescue yourself. And do not put yourself back into that fresh hell of triangulation and competition with someone who was never wishing you anything but demise, was jealous of your light. See, narcissists are jealous of your light. How come you have a spiritual practice? How come you have this? Is it even real? How do you know these things? Well, it's real now. The Judas in my life knows just how real it is. I play no games. And so does Gunner's mama. But they deserve to be together. I'm not a hater. I love love. I love love. One of my favorite YouTuber says, Rocky loves the kids. Rocky loves love. I love love. I love love even for demons. Hey, demons, go skip together with your horned fangs and burning hands and skip through coals and glass that's broken. Whatever, I wish for everybody whatever they want. I don't want that person back in my life, but do I want her to be miserable? No, she won't not be, because that is her default. Yes, actually. But do I wish that for her? Never. Never did. She thought I did because that's her bad-minded energy. She even said it to me. I got the karma you wish me. No, homie, you got the karma you made for yourself. You cooked that shit up for yourself. You put it in the oven. You baked it. You added extra vanilla. You added extra hatred. And guess what? You got a mud pie. But the mud is the kind from the help. You thought I was the help? Yeah, there's a little something special that you baked up for yourself. I didn't bake that for her. Don't wish any negativity on your twin. Yes, you may want them to come back and apologize. And like I said, I see it happen again and again. But even if that person came back to apologize, I wouldn't want her anywhere near me. I associate her immediately with poverty. I associate her immediately with death and pestilence, because she is attached to someone who actually represents that. That was Gunner's mama. So what I was doing was just reminding them ever so politely of their contract. It's hilarious to me. I'm delighted. I'm like, y'all chose each other. Don't try to fight it now, homie. You in love. Y'all's in love. Oh, the love's not there anymore? Well, then still coalesce, because I believe the devil has more in store. And my ancestors certainly do. The games have just begun for those two. And that's why I said that. It wasn't to trigger anybody, but it was to remind them, don't run from each other now, homie. Just because it's not fun anymore, just because the diseases are rampant, just because the demons are rampant, just because bad luck is happening in ways that you couldn't even imagine, just because my ancestor is relentless AF, just because you can't take a freaking breath, just because you can't stop watching Gunner's mama, doesn't mean that there's not more Up next, it was more of a reminder. You chose this. You wanted to come against me. You and my Judas wanted me to keep reading my resume to her dumb ass in perpetuity. Now she can read it herself when she wants to, when she can pull herself out of her funk and her depression, when she can pull herself. I don't think that every day is depression for them either, too, but I know that some are. All I'm saying is this: they didn't choose you, and they pushed you really far over the edge. I've had to pull people back from the brink of suicidal ideations and other kinds of real depression. And I'm not upset about that. I'm here to do it. It is what I signed up to do. But what I'm going to tell each and every person on this live today and whoever listens after this: do not let that fate befall you. And if you stay connected in the trenches trying to fight and be in the third party drama, that's exactly what will happen. The ferocity that I kicked those people off of me, the way, I mean, it was so swift. I know it made them break their own neck, and I did it because I've played this game before. I was like, oh no, give me more, give me more, give me more. Another Sagittarius that's had a lot of hard lessons. That's Brittany. It's Brittany, bitch. No, I didn't want more. I didn't want any more. I was good. Um, I was really good. And that's why, but I also still cared about that person. It was an illusion. She didn't exist, and she hated me and was cruel and wished horrible things for me and made fun of me and talked about me. And I promise you, your divine twin, whatever you think, probably did too. I'm not saying that to make you paranoid or to be mean to you, Julia. I'm saying it because I love you. The Bible says the Lord chastises who he loves. If it feels like a chastisement and you're like, F you, Monette, I'm never coming back to your channel, I've planted a seed, and the seed is of self worth. My work with you may be done, Julia, and that's okay. But I know that in so many days that will sprout and push up a blade through the soil. That soil is made out of the manure, the shit that your twin left you with. When they didn't help you till any of it, and they didn't help you manage any of it, they didn't help you spread it. You had to do it by yourself. You had to do it and find your way back to your own mental health. I know because I did it too. You had to find the inner strength and spirituality that resided in you. So yeah, go be with the karmic is what I said to my to the karmic that stalked me. Again, my Judas is checked out and would never even know that my channels even exist or whatever, and that is absolutely fine with me. But I know Gunner, so I'm gonna watch you for the rest of my life. The reason is because she wants to make sure that I don't go back to that person. She didn't really want her. She didn't want to keep her. She didn't want to take care of her. She didn't want to love her. She didn't really care about her. She was just a little thing. She was like, will you wreck up your solid life, your stable friendship for me? How much of an ego boost. And people with no self-esteem that live in masculine energy will be that. Any karmic woman isn't a masculine energy. They pursue, and at first your man may think it's great or your friend may think it's great, but then it becomes ownership and it becomes their life that they will try to take, and it becomes abusive. And I didn't have time. See, there's a lot of people I help that do want my help and value it. I was not going to pour into that person for the rest of my life in perpetuity while she kept getting hung upside her head emotionally, spiritually, and verbally abused. I wasn't going to do it. But she would always choose that person over me because that was her baseline. That was her familiarity. She was not willing to heal her childhood wounds. She was not willing to look at herself and do the work she needed to do. And I already planted the seed. The difference between the seeds I planted today with you and her is that I planted that seed into fallow ground and it came up barren. And that will be the way that she lives her life forever. And that's why I'm like, have a partner. Be with the devil. You chose her. You specially selected her. For you, the seed will not come up barren. It will come up as a blade of grass and it will grow into roots and then a tree. Julia, I speak it over you. I already know you're going to set yourself free. I didn't wish them to be together because of anything other than compassion, because I don't hate Judas. I see the road Judas went. I just want Judas nowhere near me. You know, they say, I don't want you to not eat. Eat, please, just not at my table. Just don't eat with me. Judas will never eat with me, off of me, or next to me. Judas can't even have the dignity of an apology to me because any kind of connection with that Judas specifically, and you have to gauge your own Judas, I see as endangerment to my very species, especially because they added some racism in. And that was not funsies for me. Fortunately, I'm well equipped and have had lots of unfortunate experience with it. But that's the part that I'll never forgive. So I gave her a blessing. I told her at the end of that video letter, for once in your putrid, repulsive life, someone's rooting for you. Do I still think the karmic is putrid and repulsive? Yes. But did she play a part in helping me to ascend? She did. I'm grateful that she showed me who my quote unquote friend was never going to be, and showed me how she was always going to choose the lowest common denominator over me. The angel said, "It's okay. We'll let the world choose you. Let your Judas be. Let her stay with her demon, and let her be now someone else's third party." It's poetic justice. I don't know your situation in full, Julia. I just know that I heard pain, and I wanted you to know that I didn't make that to drive you insane. And I promise you, you will have soulmates and lovers and love that come in that just astonish you. But you are at the beginning of this, and there's more work to do. I have videos here that will help you. And even if you never watch another one, I am confident that you're going to go forward and heal and get your ascension work done. I'm proud of you. Let me see what is said here, as I have a client coming up here shortly. Thank you guys for your patience today. Oh my God, there's so many words. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, let's take a look here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Miss Laura says, I always wondered what twin flames were, not garbage juice. SDF says so true. That's why I stopped singing certain song lyrics. Laura says, hi, SDF. Oh my goodness. Laura says, yes, they think we are stupid. Momo's happy place. Every time you break up and go back, it always gets worse because they know they can push your boundaries. Momo's happy place, never lie. Momo's happy place, never lie. That's the whole message right there. And that's exactly what I'm saying, Julia. Don't go back. That person I had made allowances for, I was like, it's okay, I'll hang on while you have this toxic relationship. I already done it once. I was like, yo, girl, I'm busy. I'm building businesses. I have stuff to do. I have clients to manage. I have things to create. I don't have time to babysit you. I don't have time to babysit you in the newest, most toxic relationship you could ever fathom and come up with. Ain't nobody got time for that. Momo says, hello, everyone. Laura says, hi, Momo. Laura says, at Momo's happy place, they believe boundaries do not apply to them. I was just singing that Lisa Stanfield song yesterday. Facts, Laura, says Momo's happy place. I might sing in a karaoke tonight. Equator, Emily. Hey, Emily, she's here. Sunflower Eyes is here. Sunflower Eyes and Emily. Block. Laura says, I need to work on optimism and not pessimism. Belinda Moore says, hey, Queen. Hey, Belinda. Laura says, Laura and Belinda says, hey, observing first can save us from a lot of shenanigans. And Belinda says, hey, Momo. Belinda says, gotta go. Class is starting. Holla, love you, Belinda. See you later. Hey, Belinda, have a great class. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. I got a client coming up here in like less than 20 seconds. I love you guys so much. Laura says, I can relate. My soon-to-be ex-spouse was in competition with me from day one, but once deep in the marriage, the competition was on 1,000, cooking, dancing, singing, or anything else. That is so true. I worked with Miss Laura through this, and she's not lying. Momo's happy place says, I can't wait to hear about an Indian summer. I'm going to do that. Right, Momo? That will be a great subject. That's what I feel now, hoping for a better next half of my life. Laura says, did you ever get the honest answer from your ex as to why they needed to be in competition? And she says, no. But she says it was exhausting. Momo says, Laura, it was already happening for you. Your second half will be better than the first. Amen. She says, thank you. I can relate. It was very exhausting and confusing. I was always confused because of all the gaslighting and mind games. Yes, mind games, which, that's what Momo's happy place says. She says, mind games, which told me they were Jedi mind tricks. Riddle me this Batman nonsense. I told him, ick, he's not a real friend. Yes, at Monette, they smirk. They can be condescending. Everybody's saying hi. No way. And I bet you get more intelligent afterwards. Yes, still never made sense. Momo's happy place says, talk about spiritual warfare. I hear you. Momo's happy place says, I remember that video, Mona, and it was beautiful. Yes, and it was an absolute, okay, and Laura says she was in absolute spiritual warfare. I told him I was on a spiritual journey and attempted to systematically, and he attempted to systematically destroy it. Yeah, they'll make fun of you. They'll try to destroy it, all of that. My karmic cycle is done, says Laura. I did dim my light for too long. Momo says, I told my ex that my spirituality was missing in the relationship, and he chose to leave me to it. Momo says he was afraid of it because it involves light and no darkness. And she says, Momo says, because we were too bright, for whomever felt intimidated, but this world needs more light. Yes, he didn't want to do the work, says Momo. And just like how friends were falling away from celebs' bank accounts, my spirit would rather them go. They obviously can't go where I'm going. And true, Momo, when are you ascending? They definitely, when you are ascending, they definitely can't hitch a ride. Momo puts up rockets. I love it. When I spoke my piece about how I was feeling in the marriage, there was a major deflection, no accountability or self-reflection. And Momo says, cowards choose the easiest road. There was a dismissiveness or reverse psychology, but I called him out every time and his tactics on his behavior. And Momo says, I know, Monette, a lot of words. We love you for holding space for us. I love you guys so much. Anybody that could read back that thread, read it back and get whatever you need to get out of it. Julia, I love you, boo. I hope you come back. But if you don't, we still did our work, okay? We did exactly. We met when we needed to. You heard what you needed to. You were triggered when you were needed to be. And I had my whole journey just for that one moment. Can you imagine that? God loves you so much that he allowed me to go through a whole shenanigan with a Judas just so that I could tell that video to you that would make you feel like, but wait, because there is more. That's what comes next for you, Julia. There's more. Go through the next door. I hope your twin flame apologizes to you someday, but if he doesn't, guess what? The universe has more to say. I love you guys. Come back and join me next time. We'll continue to evolve together.